Millions stolen. Bank robberies. Some genius, some dumb. Some got caught. Some got away with it. Some with a lot of noise. Some whisper quiet. But all made somebody rich. Every robbery on this list is real. No movie plots, no invented masterminds, no fake escape scenes. These are the bank robberies that actually happened across the world, from Iraq to Brazil, Argentina, Germany, Switzerland, France, India, Malta, China, Colombia, and beyond. Some thieves dug tunnels, some walked in with confidence. Some used family members as leverage. Some never touched a vault at all. They used computers. And the strangest part? The biggest robbery on this list may not even look like a robbery at first. So keep watching, because the money gets smaller, but the stories get crazier. Nearly $1 billion stolen, 2003 in Baghdad, Iraq. This is the biggest bank robbery story in modern history, and also the strangest. The target was the Central Bank of Iraq. The timing was shocking, just before the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq in 2003. According to U.S. officials, about $1 billion was taken from the bank on orders connected to Saddam Hussein and his family. No tunnel, no masks, no getaway driver waiting outside. This was a robbery by command. That is what makes it so unusual. The bank did not get tricked by criminals pretending to be powerful. Power itself opened the vault. And because Saddam was Iraq's absolute ruler, some sources treat the case differently from a normal bank robbery. But as a headline, it is almost impossible to beat. Nearly $1 billion taken from a central bank right before a war. $282 million stolen, 2007 in Baghdad, Iraq. This time, the target was Dar es Salaam Investment Bank. The name sounds like Tanzania, but the robbery happened in Baghdad. And according to Guinness World Records, this is the largest conventional bank robbery ever recorded. The strangest part? It was reportedly an inside job. In July 2007, employees arrived and found the bank open, the money gone, and the guards missing. No dramatic public shootout, no famous tunnel, no hostage standoff broadcast on television. Just a massive disappearance of cash in a city already under extreme pressure from war. The reported amount was about 282 million US dollars, plus Iraqi dinars. And the ending is almost as unbelievable as the beginning. No clean public recovery, no famous courtroom finale, no neat answer for where all of it went. Sometimes, the loudest robbery is the one discovered in silence. $101 million stolen. 2016 from Bangladesh Bank. This robbery did not begin with a gun. It began with messages. Hackers targeted Bangladesh Bank's account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Their goal was enormous, nearly $1 billion. Most of the transfers were blocked, but $101 million still moved out. $81 million went to accounts in the Philippines, and much of that money was pushed through casinos before investigators could catch up. This is the modern bank robbery. No vault door blown open, no tunnel under the street, no masked robbers running with bags. The attackers went after trust. They tried to make the international banking system believe the instructions were real. And that is why this robbery is so terrifying. The old robber asked, "How do I get inside the bank?" The new robber asks, "How do I make the bank open itself?" Up to 90 million euros stolen. 2025 in Gelsenkirchen, Germany. This one has the biggest asterisk in the countdown because the final loss was reported as a wide estimate, from at least 10 million euros up to 90 million euros. But the method is already unforgettable. Thieves targeted a Sparkasse bank vault during the Christmas period and broke into thousands of safe deposit boxes. The reported entry point was not the front door. It was through concrete from a neighboring underground parking area into the vault. That means the robbers were not just stealing money. They were attacking private boxes, the places where people kept valuables, documents, jewelry, and personal items they believed were protected. And that is what makes safe deposit robberies different. The stolen amount is hard to measure because every box can hold a different secret. Some robberies steal cash. This one stole uncertainty. 165 million Brazilian reais stolen, 2005 in Fortaleza, Brazil. This is one of the most famous tunnel robberies ever. The target was a Banco Central branch in Fortaleza. The thieves rented a property nearby and used a folk business as cover. From there, they dug a long tunnel under the city toward the bank vault. While everyone watched doors, cameras, and normal entrances, the real attack was moving under the ground. When the robbery was discovered, a hole had been cut into the vault floor. About 165 million reais were gone. Most of it was in 50 real notes, and the cash weighed several tons. That detail changes everything. This was not a quick grab and run. This was logistics, transport, planning, people. And even after arrests and convictions, the case remains legendary because of one simple fact. The robbers did not break into the bank. They arrived underneath it. At least $48 million stolen. 1987 in Knightsbridge, London. The target was the Knightsbridge Safe Deposit Center. This was not an ordinary bank counter robbery. It was a vault full of private safe deposit boxes, exactly the kind of place wealthy people used because they believed it was secure. The robbers entered posing as customers who wanted to rent a box. Then the tone changed. They overpowered the staff, controlled the room, and opened box after box. Reports at the time put the loss at least $48 million, with some estimates higher. The alleged mastermind, Valerio Vixay, became one of the most infamous figures connected to the case. But the most important lesson is not the glamour. It is the weakness. Sometimes the most protected room in the city can be defeated by confidence, timing, and one false story at the front desk. £27 million stolen. 2004 in Belfast, Northern Ireland. This robbery is disturbing because it did not begin at the bank. It began at home. The target was Northern Bank in Belfast. Armed robbers went after bank officials and their families, holding them hostage and using that fear to force cooperation at work. That changes the whole feeling of the crime. No clever tunnel, no mysterious cyber route, no elegant trick. This was pressure. The employees were made to do their jobs while knowing their families were under threat. The robbers escaped with about £27 million. The case became politically explosive. British and Irish authorities blamed the IRA, while the IRA and Sinn Féin denied involvement. And the ending stayed frustrating. No one was convicted for carrying out the robbery. Most of the money was never recovered. Some heists are remembered for intelligence. This one is remembered for fear. $20 to $50 million stolen. 1976 in Beirut, Lebanon. The target was the British Bank of the Middle East. The setting was Beirut during the Lebanese Civil War, a city already in chaos. That chaos mattered. According to reports, armed militants blasted into the bank and emptied safe deposit boxes containing cash, gold, jewelry, and valuables. The exact amount has long been reported as a range, often between $20 and $50 million. That range tells you something important. Safe deposit robberies are messy. The bank may know how many boxes were opened, but not always exactly what every customer kept inside. And in a war zone, recovery becomes even harder. This robbery shows how crime can hide inside a larger crisis. When a city is unstable, even a bank vault can become just another battlefield. And when records disappear, the stolen amount becomes part of the mystery. 24 billion Colombian pesos stolen. 1994 in Valledupar, Colombia. The target was a branch of Banco de la República, Colombia's central bank. The robbers took advantage of a holiday weekend and stole about 24 billion pesos. In US dollar terms at the time, reports placed it around $29 to $33 million. But here is the twist that makes this robbery stand out. The stolen banknotes were traceable. After the robbery, the bank identified the serial numbers and denominations of the stolen bills. Those notes became known in Colombia as billetes vallenatos, vallenato bills. So the thieves had money, but spending it became dangerous. That is a brutal problem for any robber. Stealing cash is only the first step. Using it without exposing yourself is the real test. In Valledupar, the money left the bank, but the serial numbers followed it into the street. 146 million francs stolen. 1992 in Toulon, France. The target was a Banque de France branch in Toulon. This was a huge armed robbery, and the reported amount was 146 million French francs, roughly 22 million euros by later estimates. The case became famous not only because of the money, but because of the criminal network surrounding it. One man later associated with the case, Mark Armando, was described as a suspected mastermind and received a long sentence. But the money is the part that keeps the story alive. Only a fraction was reportedly recovered. That means the robbery did not end when the criminals left the bank. It continued in hidden movement, hidden spending, hidden silence. That is the second life of every major heist. First, the money is stolen. Then comes the harder question: who can keep it? In Toulon, that question lasted for years. $23 million stolen. 1990 in Geneva, Switzerland. This was one of Switzerland's biggest bank robberies. The target was Union Bank of Switzerland in Geneva. 4 armed robbers got inside, forced employees to open access to foreign currency storage, and escaped with stacks of money. Reports at the time said the cash weighed about 440 pounds. That is the detail that makes the robbery real. A big number sounds abstract, but hundreds of pounds of cash means the criminals had to move weight, not just wealth. They were not carrying a fantasy bag from a movie. They were handling a physical burden, and they still got away with it. Switzerland is associated with banking security, privacy, and order. That is why this robbery hit so hard. It was not just money stolen from a vault. It was a direct attack on the idea that Swiss banking security was untouchable. $19 million stolen. 2006 in Acasuso, Argentina. The target was Banco Rio, near Buenos Aires. At first, it looked like a hostage crisis. Armed robbers were inside the bank. Police surrounded the building. Negotiators were involved. Cameras watched from outside. But the real trick was underneath. The robbers had prepared a tunnel connected to storm drains. While everyone focused on the bank entrance, the escape route had already been planned. They looted safe deposit boxes and then left through the underground system using inflatable boats. That is why this robbery became known in Argentina as the robbery of the century. It was not just the amount, it was the misdirection. The police were watching the state. The robbers had built an exit below it. In the history of bank robberies, the entrance gets attention, but the exit often decides everything. 13 million euros stolen. 2019 in Valletta, Malta. This was another cyberbank robbery. The target was Banco Valletta, one of Malta's major banks. Hackers broke into the bank systems and transferred about 13 million euros out of the country. The bank shut down operations while it responded. Branches, ATMs, online services, everything was affected. That is what makes cyber heists different. The thief does not only steal money. The thief can freeze confidence. For customers, the fear is immediate. Is my account safe? Is the bank functioning? What is happening behind the screen? Much of the money was later recovered or frozen, which is important. But the damage was already done. The robbery proved that a bank can be attacked without anyone entering the building. One moment the system is normal. The next, the bank is fighting to stop money moving across borders. $13.5 million stolen. 2018 in Pune, India. The target was Cosmos Bank. This was not a traditional robbery. It was a coordinated cyber attack linked to ATM withdrawals across multiple countries. Hackers compromised the bank's systems and used cloned cards or fraudulent transactions to pull money out rapidly. The reported theft was about 944 million rupees, around $13.5 million. And the scale is the hook. Money was not removed from one vault in one city. It was drained through a global network. Withdrawals reportedly happened across 28 countries. That is the terrifying part of modern banking crime. A local bank can be hit internationally in minutes. A robber no longer needs to stand near the money. The money can be made to travel to the robber. Cosmos Bank shows how the bank robbery evolved from masks and bags to networks and timing. $12 million stolen. 2015 in Ecuador. The target was Banco del Austro. This was a cyber theft, and the money moved through international accounts. According to Reuters, cyber thieves stole around $12 million from the Ecuadorian bank and routed funds through companies in Hong Kong. Again, no vault was cracked open. No guard was tied up. No tunnel was dug. The weakness was not concrete. It was communication between financial institutions. That is why cyber bank robberies belong in the same story as the classic tunnel heists. The tunnel robber hides under the building. The cyber robber hides inside the message. Both are looking for the same thing, a path nobody notices in time. And once money crosses borders, every hour matters. In this case, the crime was not about running from police. It was about moving faster than the banking system could react. $10 million stolen. 2018 in Chile. The target was Banco de Chile. Hackers used malware as part of the attack, and the bank later confirmed that about $10 million had been siphoned off. The case was especially clever because the cyber attack reportedly involved distraction. While the bank was dealing with disrupted computers, money was being moved out through fraudulent transfers. That is a modern version of an old trick. Make noise in one place, steal in another. In a physical bank robbery, that noise might be shouting, hostages, or alarms. In a cyber heist, it can be crashing screens, locked systems, and confusion in the network. The bank said customer accounts were not affected, but the message was clear. A robbery can now happen during a computer emergency. And sometimes the emergency is not the accident, it is the cover. $10 million stolen. 1976 in Nice, France. The target was a Société Générale vault. The route was through the sewers. This robbery became famous because it sounded almost impossible. Thieves used the underground system of Nice to reach the bank vault and loot safe deposit boxes. When the vault was opened after the weekend, customers' boxes had been raided. But the detail everyone remembers is the message left behind. Without weapons, without violence, without hate. That line helped turn the robbery into a legend. But the real story is not romantic. Safe deposit boxes can contain family jewelry, documents, gold, memories, and valuables that are hard to replace. The money amount was huge, but the personal loss was harder to count. The Nice heist is famous because of the tunnel, but its real power comes from the fact that private secrets were stolen from underground. Nearly $9 million stolen. 1972 in Laguna Niguel, California. The target was United California Bank. This was a safe deposit vault burglary, and it became one of the most famous U.S. bank heists. The crew was linked to Emil Dincio and professional burglars from Ohio. They did not rush the counter during business hours. They attacked the vault when the bank was closed. They blasted through reinforced concrete and opened hundreds of safe deposit boxes. The reported value was nearly $9 million in cash and valuables. But the ending is the part that keeps the case alive. Investigators connected the suspects through travel records, evidence, and later searches. A robbery planned with extreme care still came apart because criminals had to return to normal life afterward. That is the great trap of a major heist. The vault job may be perfect. The afterlife of the money rarely is. Up to £3 million stolen. 1971 in Baker Street, London. The target was a Lloyds Bank safe deposit vault on Baker Street. Yes, Baker Street, the street made famous by Sherlock Holmes. The robbers rented a nearby shop and dug a tunnel into the vault. But the case became legendary because someone heard them. An amateur radio operator, Robert Rowlands, picked up their walkie-talkie communications and contacted police. Police searched banks in the area, but the robbers were still able to complete the burglary. They opened hundreds of safe deposit boxes. The exact amount stolen has never been perfectly settled, with estimates ranging widely. That uncertainty only made the story bigger. This robbery has everything: a tunnel, a famous London street, overheard radio chatter, police nearly catching on, and a vault discovered too late. Sometimes the most gripping heist is not the largest. It is the one where capture came so close. 51 million yuan stolen. 2007 in Handan, China. This might be the dumbest robbery in the countdown, and that is exactly why people remember it. The target was the Handan branch of the Agricultural Bank of China. The robbers were not outsiders breaking through a wall. They were vault managers. Ren Xiaofeng and Ma Xiangjing stole nearly 51 million yuan from the bank. And the reported motive was unbelievable: lottery tickets. One smaller theft had reportedly been covered after a lottery win. Then the plan got bigger, riskier, and completely out of control. Most of the stolen money was lost on lottery tickets. The men were caught quickly. They were convicted and sentenced to death. This robbery is the perfect final scene because it flips the whole countdown. Some robbers used tunnels. Some used cyber systems. Some used war, fear, or confidence. And some tried to rob a bank by betting the money on luck. And that is the strange world of bank robberies. Some were planned with tunnels, some with computers, some with fear, some with unbelievable stupidity. But every story reminds us of one thing: money can make people creative, desperate, and sometimes reckless. The good news? You do not need to rob a bank to understand money. You can learn finance the safe way, the easier way, and most importantly, the legal way. So subscribe to the channel and let's keep learning finance, a few minutes a day. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.